Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome back. Welcome to one more interesting share. To those who follow us closely, be it our mobile apps or the contents that we post in our website, you might have noticed that we try to share Vedic traditional related content in a unique fashion. Not like those boring, monotonous stuffs which you might have already come across, but something interesting, inspiring, sometimes quoting the verses directly from the original scriptures, and also some tidbits that you can actually follow or apply in your daily spiritual practice effortlessly. So following this unique style, following this pattern, even in this video, we wanted to share with you a very rare, special, in fact we can call it as a gem of a stotra upon Lord Surya Deva that is found in the Puranas. Though we call it as a gem, the beauty is most of you might not be aware of this. Even to those who by chance have come across this stotra earlier, we are very much sure that there is a very less possibility that they might know the real greatness of this stotra. So we believe this will be an interesting one for you. But now, if one may ask, why one more stotra? Because we already have so many wonderful and powerful stotras like the Vishnu Sahasranama or the Lalita Sahasranama, right? Are they not enough? Or is it that we doubt their effectiveness? Why one more? So this is a very beautiful and interesting question that many among us who faithfully follow the tradition will also have it, right? In fact, we can add something more to this question, like why we have so many gods? Why so many prayers? Is it that one god superior to the other? No, it's not for this reason we have so many gods. To understand this, let us use a simile. Just there are 6 different tastes like sweet, sour, spice, etc., right? And all of us have our own preferences to it. Like some of you might be sweet lovers and others might prefer spicy foods than sweet. So if you see this individuality aspect or our own personal preference, this is the basis of it all. This is what we call it as our own tendency or guna, one's own nature. So simply put, this is what we call it as karma. And this tendency, individuality aspect is tracked back to all of our action from many past births. This is a unique aspect of this tradition. Since all of us are very unique, there is no one size fit all solution possible in spiritual path. So in this wonderful Vedic tradition, it very well recognizes this uniqueness called individuality and provides every unique person a unique path according to his own nature. So to those who are naturally inclined to worship Lord Vishnu would love to recite Vishnu stotras, but for him who is naturally attracted to Kali or Durga, it's the Durga stotra that appeals the most than Vishnu stotra. And it is very logical too, because all of us are very different. So that is the main reason why there are so many gods and so many stotras. Not that one is less effective or the other is superior, but it is the one supreme God, we refer it with the word Brahman, manifest in manifold ways just to satisfy our own unique taste. Think logically. It is not fair to force all different tempered people to worship only one aspect of God. For a calm, sattvic-minded person, Lord Sri Rama is more than enough. But to a person who is aggressive, short-tempered and at the same time righteous too, it is Lord Nrisimha, the man-line avatara, pleases him the most. Both the avataras belong to the same supreme God Vishnu. And now, in that perspective, though there are so many gods to pray, there is a set of 6 gods which are being mentioned even in the Vedas and also being worshipped in a traditional manner for many centuries without any break. And this is what we call it as Shanmatam, or the 6 popular traditional sect of Hinduism like Shaivism, Vaishnavism, etc. And it starts with Ganapatyam, the worship of Ganapati, Vinayaka. And the next one is fire worship, or you may refer it to the worship of Lord Subramanya. And then Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, otherwise called the Shaktas. And finally, Lord Surya, the sun god. Totally these 6 devatas, gods, we can say sort of they are even approved by the Vedas and also is seen to be in practice in our daily worships too. And among these, the sun god, which is the subject matter that we have taken up, is little more special for many reasons. The more obvious reason is that he is the one god that all of us can see with our naked eyes. And to feel it more real would take us go beyond all doubts. So in this video, we will cover 4 broad points. Like in the first place, why traditionally worship sun god? What is the main purpose? Like all of us know, when we pray to Goddess Saraswati, you will get good education, right? So in that sense, what significance is attached to the worship of Surya Deva? And next, how to worship, especially what is the best prayer, stotra. to recite to Lord Surya Deva. But then, how do we know that? That is, how can we be sure that this is the best of all the stotras upon Lord Surya Deva? So this point will be very interesting. And finally, a story from a Purana that relates to this great stotra that we have shared here. And then the actual stotra is also given in this video, followed by the Phala-shruti, that is, the result or the benefits that one gets for reciting this great stotra. So let us start straight with the first question. Traditionally, why worship the sun god, Surya Deva? To answer this, there is this famous verse that begins with Arogyam Bhaskarad Ichet, which means, to those who wish for good health, you should worship Lord Surya. Likewise, for wealth, money, one should worship the fire deity, and so on. But if you ask, is it that only for good health alone that we should pray the sun god and not for anything else? Because we do find in other famous Surya stotras like the great Aditya Hrudayam, where it says, Aditya Hrudayam Punyam Sarvashatru Vinashanam. All the enemies are destroyed to those who recite this great Aditya Hrudayam. Jayabaham Japen Nityam Akshayam Paramam Shivam. He will be victorious in all his venture and attain highest good. He who recites this stotra daily. Sarva Mangala Mangalyam. Also gets the best of all the prosperities. Sarva Papa Pranashanam. All the sins are destroyed. See, different results are also mentioned in a Surya stotra. Chinta Shoka Prashamanam. Mental griefs, sufferings of the mind gets destroyed. Ayurvardhanam Uttamam, and also attains very long life. So not just for good health, but there are many other results that we get from Surya Deva when prayed faithfully these stotras. So why say only good health, right? Yes, you are right. You get everything, but especially good health. Just like we traditionally know, to remove any obstacle in your new venture, you first pray to Lord Vigneshwara, right? The remover of all the obstacles. Likewise, to Vani, Saraswati, you pray her for good education. So as these things are very well known, in that sense, Lord Surya is prayed for good health specially. It is more of like a general physician having a specialization. A general physician usually diagnoses all the ailments, which is common to all doctors in general, but he would deal himself further if the issue is related to his specialization, like psychiatry or pediatrics, etc. So now we know that though all gods give you anything and everything when you pray faithfully, but these are the special aspects that you pray to these gods exclusively. So for good health, to get rid of all the ailments that you are suffering from, you should worship Lord Surya Deva. So now the next question, how do you do it? How to worship with the best possible way? Which is the best stotra to recite? Because if you take the best effort, the result will also be best, right? Which Surya stotra to recite? There is this famous Surya Ashtothram that includes 108 names of the sun god, or ashtakam, Surya Namaskara mantram, also famously known as Aruna Prashnam, Surya Navagraha mantram or stotram, the great Aditya Hrudayam, or Surya Sahasranama, the 1000 names of the sun god. What say? Yeah, sure, why not? But the mood swing mind says, 1000 names, man. That's little difficult. But is there any other choice? We have this great Aditya Hrudayam. But even that is about 30 verses. Is there any other alternative or any other sloka that is very small and at the same time very powerful? Yes, we do have one. Only 3 slokas or just 21 names, but very powerful. Oh, is it? But how do we know that this is the great stotra of all the stotras? To justify, we will start with the name. For all the stutis, stotras, you will have a name, right? To this stotra too, there is a name, and it's called Stavaraja. Stava means stuti, a stotram, which means praise, and Raja means king, which everybody knows. So this is called the king of all the stotras by name itself. But who gave this name to the stotra? Who said so? Who said that this is the king of all the stotras? The Supreme Lord Bhagavan Surya himself said so. We will see how we got the stotra and all that shortly. But this title to the stotra is actually given by Surya Deva himself. But there are also few other reasons why it is considered best. Like surprisingly, this Stavaraja or the 20 names of the Surya Deva is actually seen in 4 Puranas. It is a very rare thing to be seen. Not all the stotras get this distinction. Suppose you take Lalita Sahasranam that takes place in Brahmanda Purana. It is not repeated elsewhere. But this one is found in 4 Puranas. Bhavishya Purana, Brahma Purana, in Skanda Mahapurana, Prabhasa Kanda. It occurs twice where Mother Parvati Devi asked Lord Parmeshwara, Lord Shiva, like what is the alternative stotra for Surya Sahasranama, the 1000 names of Surya Deva, or is there any equivalent stotra? And also, what is the way to attain Surya Loka, the abode of Surya? For this question of Devi, Lord Shiva says, "Oh dear, there is no need for any 1,000 names of Lord Surya. Just this Stavaraja that I am going to give you, which are the great 21 names of Lord Surya, that alone is enough." Similarly, in Samba Purana too, you can find this stotra. So 4 Puranas. As you can see, the name itself suggests that it is the king of all the stotras, and Lord Surya himself said so. And not only that, it takes place in 3 to 4 Puranas, and Lord Shiva himself recommends it to Goddess Parvati. What more we need to claim that this is the best of all the stotras, right? So we will move to the next one. How did we get this stotra in the first place? That is, the story related to this stotra. This takes place in the Samba Purana. This is an exclusive Purana that talks everything about the sun god. It is a Upa Purana. So once there was a king called Brihadbala in the line of Surya Vamsha, Raghu Vamsha, which is the line of Lord Sri Rama, whose preceptor Guru is Vasishta. This part everybody knows. So once this king was asking about the greatness of Surya Deva through his Guru, and sage Vasishta was also explaining the greatness of sun god. While this was going on, he happened to narrate an incident that happened to Samba. Samba was one of the sons of Lord Krishna. All of us know that Krishna had many wives, and among them, there are few who are considered very special and very dear to Shri Krishna, like Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati. This Samba is the son of Jambavati. Now, the divine sage Narada, who could travel to any place as he wishes, once happened to visit Dwarka, where Shri Krishna and company were living. Upon his visit, all the young sons and daughter-in-laws of Shri Krishna welcomed the great sage and worshipped him in a proper fitting manner. But this young Samba, who had this attitude for being very charming and beautiful, and in a playful mind, just neglected the sage's coming and continued to be in his playful mood all the while. And this behavior was little insulting to the divine sage. And now Narada Muni decided in his mind that this thing has to be corrected and was waiting for an opportunity. In another visit to Dwarka, especially when Sri Krishna was in recreation mood in his garden with all his wives, sage Narada made his visit. Finding this to be the right time, he went to Samba and addressed him, "Your father wants to meet you immediately, and without any delay, meet him now." When Samba heard this, though knowing that it is not the right time and place to meet his father, but also not knowing what else to do, he went straight inside to the place where Sri Krishna was. And now, sage Narada, finding this as the right opportunity, seduced all the ladies there except those special ones, Rukmini, Satyabhama and Jambavati. Now Shri Krishna, seeing all the ladies mentally disturbed at the sight of his young beautiful Samba, he was very much irritated, thinking it's all because of Samba's arrogant attitude for being very beautiful. All this had happened, and resolving thus, he cursed Samba that let him get this worst leprosy disease. And now, after being cursed by his father, Samba suffered a lot. His youth and beauty all now being gone, and trying with all the possible remedy, he once again went to his father and said, "It is all because of sage Narada's bidding that I came to meet you at that time," and conveyed that there was no fault on his side, and then pleaded Krishna to relieve him of this suffering. Now Shri Krishna, knowing all this in truth, asked Samba to worship Lord Surya Deva and said he alone can relieve you of this suffering. And taking this advice of his father, he too with utmost faith went to the nearby forest to do tapasya upon Lord Surya. And very long time with devotion, he worshipped the Lord with his 1000 names. And by his bhakti, he was also gradually recovering. And suddenly one fine day, in Samba's dream, Lord Surya Deva appeared and said, "Oh my dear Samba, enough of this 1000 names of mine. Now listen carefully while I give you this wonderful, supreme, and at the same time very secretive 21 names of mine, by reciting which you will be relieved of this disease." And then revealed this mystical Stavaraja. Vikartano vivasvamscha martando bhaskaro ravihi loka prakashaka shriman loka chakchurgraheshwaraha loka sakshi trilokeshaha karta harta tamisraha tapanastapanaschaiva shuchis saptashvavahanaha gabhasti hasto brahma cha sarvadeva namaskritah ekavimshati ityesha stava ishtas sada mama. Now, if you have noticed the last line, that is ekavimshati ityesha, which means this 21 names, and stava ishta, we have already discussed what a stava means, which is stuti or praise, and ishta means very dear, and then sada mama, always dear to me. Mama means to me. So see, Lord Surya himself says that these 21 names are always very dear to him. And also said that this Stavaraja is very popular in all the three worlds. And one who recites this Stavaraja faithfully will attain good health, wealth and great fame. When recited during the 2 Sandhis, that is during both the twilights, he will be rid of all his sins. And sins done through Mano Vak Kayam, that is mind, speech and body, everything will get destroyed to him who recite this hymn while facing me with devotion. This can also be recited while doing Sandhya Vandanam, during Homa, while giving Arghyam, while doing Pradakshinam, and also while showing Dhupa during Puja. One can recite this as Dhupa Mantra. Not just that, while doing Annadanam, that is food charity, while taking bath, this can be recited because it removes all kind of troubles and is considered very auspicious. In fact, this is a great MahaMantra. Saying this much, Surya Deva vanished from Samba's dream. And now Samba was very much surprised to receive this great Stavaraja from Surya himself, and then he too recited this great Stavaraja and got cured from his terrible skin disease and restored back to normalcy. And in fact, now he was more brilliant and youthful than before. So the fruit of reciting this great stotra was also recorded in that Samba Purana itself. So that's the story part. Now, though it is more than enough to recite just these 21 names alone faithfully to Surya Deva, still we wanted to share with you the traditional way, which is even more rewarding and brings much faith to the reciter. So if you consider any good stotra that is recited traditionally, you can notice that it will generally have a pattern, like it starts with the Purva Bhaga, then the actual stotra, and lastly the Phala-shruti. That is the story part that comes first, then the stotra, and finally what is the benefit of reciting the stotra. For example, consider the great Vishnu Sahasranama stotra. It starts with this scene. The great Bhishma Pitamaha will be lying in the bed of arrows, and King Yudhishthira will ask so many questions related to dharma. All this will happen after the great Kurukshetra war. And now Yudhishthira will ask a question. Ko dharma sarva dharmanam. That is, among all the dharmas that you have told until now, which should be considered the best among them all, and so on. The great Bhishma Pitamaha, in a way of replying, gives this great Vishnu Sahasranama while keeping the supreme godhead of the stotra himself next to him. So now the point is, if you see, the story part or the drama part called the Purva Bhaga takes place first, just to give us a heads up about how and what is the stotra that is going to follow. Then the actual stotra, and finally what is the result or phalan that one gets for reciting this stotra. This is called Phala-shruti. So now for those who wants to follow this traditional way, which is also actually very small, one can find the link in the description and learn them in a proper way. So recite and learn this great stotra with pure bhakti, and let us pray to the great Lord Surya Deva that he may bless us all with good health and prosperity. Har Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadeva.